I want to highlight for you guys what made my day today. And so to tell this story, I have to go back and play a bit of a voicemail that's never been played on the show before. This came in a couple of weeks ago from a conservative. This is Wade in Texas. And he called in. He said, look, I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican. I try to keep an open mind. I try to listen to this show and get the other side. I don't think that everything Democrats do is crazy or terrible. I actually support a lot of what they do, but there's some things that you guys seem to believe that are so far out there that I can't support it, and that's why I could never be a Democrat. And so one of the issues that he wanted to bring up was about the conversation of privilege, and that's been happening a lot on this show. There's been a lot of conversation about white or straight or male or able-bodied or neurotypical privilege, all of these things. And so Wade called in to comment about it. This didn't get played on the show, but this is how this story is going to start. So hear what Wade had to say.
The whole white male privilege thing killed me. You know, I am a straight white male, and I guess therefore born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Somebody forgot to tell me, though. I realize that every other race seems to be perfect. I mean, blacks didn't sell other blacks into slavery. What do they call it? The Hutus didn't kill the Tutsis in Rwanda. And Africa's just a bastion of freedom and democracy and great place to live. White people had nothing to do with building of America, winning the Civil War, freeing slaves. No white men had any part of that. If you're going to tell me that I have privilege, at least, I don't know, think about the contributions my race has made, you know, to good things. That would be appreciated.
So I think you can probably see why I didn't think that would have been a particularly constructive addition to the conversation. Of course, people would have just gotten mad and called in and yelled at him, and that wouldn't have really helped anyone. But that voicemail was the inspiration for a commentary that I did that I was pretty excited about and proud of, in which I was trying to reimagine how to talk about privilege in such a way as to reach people like Wade. Because rightly or wrongly, I think wrongly, Wade and a lot of other people like him react very, very negatively to the whole concept of privilege and the way it's phrased, white or straight or male privilege. It sounds like a personal attack to them. And so their defenses go up. And so once the defenses are up, you can't really have a good conversation. And so I'll play just a short clip of the commentary I did trying to figure out a way around those defensive reactions to get to the heart of the matter. To do this, let's discard all of those specifiers, white, straight, male, whatever. Discard the specifiers. That personalizes it too much. But think of it this way. Think of it as majority privilege or possibly dominant privilege. So don't think about it with a specific element in mind. Just think back to like high school. What group of people were the majority in high school? And do you see that, they had it easier in school than the minority kids who, got picked on because they were different? That is the concept we're talking about. And so when you extrapolate to the rest of the real world, just think about whatever context there is and think about the general perceptions in the world and the general effects that those have. And so in America, in 2012, white privilege exists because white people are the majority, and male privilege exists because men are dominant. So that's what I said a couple of weeks ago. Now, are you ready for this? Wade called back.
Hey, Jay, this is Wade from Fort Worth. I was just listening to your episode where you described, or better described, how to explain white male privilege. And I gotta say, and I'm a conservative, by the way, that does make sense. Makes it easier to accept. It's a little bit better than saying straight white male privilege, because immediately that gets my defenses up and quite frankly pisses me off. But if you put it that way, I can kind of understand what you're saying. It's far less offensive, and it doesn't make me want to get angry. So mission accomplished on that one. I definitely still hold some reservations about it. It's a touchy subject, probably there's always going to be one, but at least you're trying to have a better way to explain
the topic without being so offensive to the majority of America, I guess you could say, since we are the majority. But again, I still have issues with it. I know we've been beating it to death on this show, and I do appreciate everything that you've done with it. It's like I said, I keep an open mind. I try to hear both sides of the conversation. But that's one subject that I don't think that I would ever fully be a part of, or fully agree with anybody on. But good job at least opening my eyes to a new way. I got to hand it to you. That was pretty good. So just wanted to say that. Hey, thanks for the show. It's really entertaining, and I love the new ideas that I get. So appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Later.
So I will grant to you that this definitely only qualifies as a small victory, but I have to say how incredibly excited I was to get this voicemail. I was listening to it today, and once I figured out what he was saying, I was getting up out of my chair and fist pumping the air. And do not think for a moment that I am kidding or exaggerating. I literally did that, because even though I have no idea if that commentary I did had any effect on anyone else who heard it, to hear from Wade to say that his perspective had been changed so widely, and I mean, you heard what he said before and after, and it's not that his perspective was changed completely, but the way he understands the conversation on privilege seems fundamentally altered by the fact that I figured out a way to say what I'd been saying over and over again in a new way that just made sense and was able to get through. And literally, like, nothing has made me prouder in weeks or months than knowing that I figured something out that actually worked for someone, and to know that essentially every conversation on privilege he hears for the rest of his life is going to be heard through a new filter because of a breakthrough in communication. Like, that is what I talk about over and over and over again, is the importance of communication and making sure we're saying exactly what we mean and trying to make sure as best we can that the people we're talking to are understanding us and are understanding what we're saying in the way we meant it and not in some twisted, altered way. And so I just have to say how incredibly gratifying it was to get this voicemail, and how clearly it was something that I needed to share.